Recording in progress.
Good evening and salam. I'm Hanan El-Hadiwi, a member of MACFEST team. Welcome to the African Heritage Festival 2022, celebrating the rich and diverse African culture, literature, history, arts, and music. Because we are African, not because we are born in Africa, but because Africa is born in Africa. Today is our second event. We enchant you with the history, architecture, music, and Nigerian festivals. Before I hand over to Maryam, let me say a few words about her. She is a valuable member of MACFEST team. She is a third-year business student at the University of Manchester and has been working with the MACFEST since 2019. He is an example of integrity, kindness, and determination. Now, my request to our audience is to follow MACFEST on social media, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram using our hashtag Spread Honey, Not Hate. As most of our events are free, we dearly welcome donations. Please use the chat box for any comments or feedback. And thank you. Now it's over to you, Maryam.
Thank you very much, Hanan, for that warm welcome. Hello, everyone. I'm delighted to be your host for MACFEST's first African Heritage Festival. I will introduce all the speakers and the entertainment we have in store for you, and I myself will be taking part, so please stay tuned. I would like to kick off today's event with African architecture with Sarah Adio, who is a Muslim convert and a cultural researcher from Liverpool. She'll be taking us on an enchanting journey to uncover some of the most beautiful mosques from Africa.
Hi, Sarah. If you want, please to share your presentation. Maryam, are you sharing the presentation? just Maryam, are you sharing the presentation?
Assalamu alaikum and thank you for joining. Today I want to share some of the phenomenal architecture that exists throughout the vast and various countries in Africa. And this is just a small offering, and I also wanted to include some architecture that has historical value also. But first of all, I wanted to just talk a little bit about the origins of Islam in Africa, and it can be traced back to the 7th century. Now, this is from the first Hijrah, which is to Abyssinia, which is now Ethiopia, and this was at a time when the Muslims were facing persecution in Mecca, and the Prophet Muhammad advised his companions to leave Mecca and to travel across the Red Sea and to seek refuge in Abyssinia. It was here they were protected by the king al-Najashi, who later accepted Islam. Now, some of the companions more of the companions would later migrate to make hijrah to Africa, where some of them stayed and continued to make their home there. Those that remained settled in Zaila, which is current-day Somalia, and it was then a part of Bilad al-Baba, or the land of the Berbers. So this is how we see Islam introduced to Africa. It was literally at the beginning of Islam. It was the beginning of the revelations to them. So it's like Islam is so closely related to Africa as it is to Arabia. They were both at the very beginning have that history. This brings me to the first masjid that I wanted to share, and it's sadly in ruins, but it's so important to our history, and it's the Masjid al-Qiblatain, or the Mosque of the Two Qiblas, and this is in Zaila, Somaliland. So it's one of the oldest mosques in Africa, and it was built in the 7th century, so it's just shortly after the first Hijrah of the Muslims from Mecca. Now, it's known as the Mosque of Two Qiblas, so this is referring to its two mihrabs, and one was oriented towards Mecca, but the other is northwest towards Jerusalem, and that's because initially when the Muslims arrived, that was the direction that they prayed in until it was changed. So you can see that significant shift. It's unusual to have in masjids, and that's one of the few that have the two qibla, the few that remain, what's left of the remains. But it's nice to still see the site and still see that part of the connection, how it laces through from Arabia to Africa at the very beginning of Islam. Now we're going to go to Morocco, and this is the Koutoubia Mosque in Marrakesh, Morocco. It was founded in 1147 by the Almohad Caliph Abd al-Mu'min. It is Koutoubia Mosque, meaning the bookseller's mosque, and this is because at one time it was just surrounded by booksellers all in this area. It represents a classic example of Almohad architecture, and it's a stunning piece of history, and it's a stunning piece of architecture to look at. Its mosque and minaret were restored in the 1990s. So there was recent addition of solar panels, solar water heaters, and energy efficient lights. And this is all in an effort to become more dependent on renewable energy. And there are also beautiful gardens flanked round the masjid, so it's a beautiful place to see. Now we go to a mosque, madrasa of Sultan Hassan, Cairo, Egypt. It was built in 1356 and completed in 1363. And this was during the Bahri Mamluk period. It was commissioned by Sultan al-Nasir Hassan. Now, this is a majestic construction. It is phenomenal, and it's located in the Salah al-Din Square in Cairo, Old Cairo. Now, when this was commissioned, this Sultan who founded the masjid was a controversial character. He was 13 when he ascended the throne, and throughout the building of this masjid, the Egyptians were being ravaged by the Black Plague and they were suffering with that. However, the building never stopped, apparently not even for one day. Construction continued throughout the plague. The Sultan was a controversial character, so he led an extravagant life. Now this monumental masjid is an indicator of that. He was eventually assassinated. He was assassinated by his commander-in-chief of the army, and this links back to the way he spent the public money and the way he was extravagant. So we've got a beautiful piece of architecture, we've got a beautiful piece of heritage, but what we do also have with it is the human that pursued it. And sometimes, a lot of the time, the people are fallible, and we get that context too. It's all in all, we have something beautiful, we have an amazing piece of heritage and history, but it also comes with there was a cost to it too, and there was a human cost at the time. So it's good to remember that these phenomenal places do have a history too. It's not as straightforward as the finished product that we get to see. No, but this brings us on to the Masalikul Jinan, and this is the Path to Paradise Masjid. This is in Dakar, Senegal. Now, it's completed in 2019, and it's one of the largest masjids in West Africa. It was built on government donated land to the Murid Brotherhood. One of the four important Sufi brotherhoods, so that are followed by Senegal's Muslims. The name of the masjid is derived from the title of a poem by Sheikh Ahmadi Bamba Mabaki, and this was in the 19th century, and he was the founder of this brotherhood, and he's really revered by his followers. And it's a beautiful contribution, so it's a lovely space. Now we come to the Great Mosque of Dijon in Mali. This is just such an amazing contribution. It's just so special, this masjid. Now this is a large brick or adobe building, and it's built in the Sudano-Sahelian architectural style. The first mosque on the site was built around the 13th century, but the current structure dates from 1907. And this was when there was French colonial rule. So at this point, under the French colonial rule, the masjid was in disrepair, because prior to that, the leader had let it go into disrepair. He didn't think that, he disapproved of that space and of that masjid, and he built a different one. However, this was reversed, and fortunately, those repaired parts and those other parts that were rebuilt, this now is a community effort. So annually, every year, the entire community take an active role in the mosque maintenance. So they go with buckets of plaster and they pull the buckets up and they race to the top, and it's with such enthusiasm and solidarity that they maintain this building every year. They cover all of it. They give it a facelift every year. They make a beautiful effort to do it, and they make it into a lovely festival, and it's really delightful to watch. There are nice documentaries online as well. Just watching it, it's delightful. Really nice building, really nice community and contribution from them. And this is a lovely masjid. It's Bashir Usman Tofa Masjid in Kano, Nigeria. It's got a lovely finish. There isn't too much information about it, but I wanted to share it because it's just a beautiful little mosque, and it's a nice contribution from Nigeria too. That I did want to include that area of Africa, that country. This takes us to Al Nilain Mosque, or the Mosque of the Two Niles. It's located on the western banks of the River Nile. It's on a confluence, which is actually the Blue Nile and where the White Nile meet. This is where they've situated the masjid. Now, the design of the mosque was actually a thesis project by Gamer Al-Dawa Al-Tahir, and this is a student in the University of Khartoum. It was completed in 1984. The location of Al Nilan Masjid makes its place closest to the Nile, and so it's considered the largest mosque on the Nile. So from the unknown source of where the Nile begins to its mouth in the Mediterranean, this has the title of the largest masjid next to it. And I just want to thank you for listening and for just having a small view of the masjids that are beautiful masjids and important historic sites that we have within the continent of Africa, and all of the different countries that maintain those buildings, that keep the heritage alive of how Islam started and how it grew, and in the way that it grew. And there are heritage sites as well, and they hold our history. So thank you so much for listening. Goodbye.
Wow, that was very incredibly informative and interesting. Thank you very much, Sarah, for taking the time to deliver this wonderful presentation. So our next act, storytelling from Somalia, is unfortunately cancelled as the speaker is unavailable. So in place of this, we'll be listening to some marvelous entertainment from Nimko Ali, who is a famous Somali singer. So please stay tuned.
isi naftaana koday oo jamca eryaya uba jeelaan murayne haadinga meel kaleeto isi naftaana koday oo jamca eryaya uba jeelaan murayne haadinga meel kaleeto jacaylka waa milasta qalbiga waa uur dareenta ubaxa aan beeray manta haasina adiga muuji jacaylka waa milasta qalbiga waa uur dareenta ubaxa aan beeray manta إنا متحلة أنا love you more than my life أنا أحبك يا حبيبي أكو بين دعمي إنسانة ووجهة عاشقية أقصونا وإنا متحلة أنا love you more than my life أنا أحبك يا حبيبي أكو بين دعمي إنسانة ووجهة عاشقية adkeeba lama hadhixdena kaanerayada jacaylka ammaan tiriyo ku heeso obaal marixiisahayga adkeeba lama hadhixdena kaanerayada jacaylka ammaan tiriyo ku heeso obaal marixiisahayga Volcano ramido correctay indhahan kaliga u fiirsha naftaydanu oo murtada la taaga qaliyay roobin Volcano ramido correctay indhahan kaliga u fiirsha naftaydanu oo murtada la taaga qaliyay roobin Sono ina kuchari robin all my life أنا أحبك يا حبيبي أكو بندا من سنة وجهة عاشقية أقصونا وإنا وشعرك أنا love you more than my life أنا أحبك يا حبيبي أكو بندا من سنة وجهة عاشقية أقصونا وإنا وشعرك أنا love you more than my life أنا أحبك يا حبيبي أكو بندا من سنة وجهة عاشقية أقصونا وإنا وشعرك أنا love you more than my life أنا أحبك يا حبيبي أكو بندا من سنة وجهة عاشقية أقصونا وإنا وشعرك أنا love you more than my life أنا أحبك يا حبيبي أكو بندا من سنة وجهة عاشقية أقصونا وإنا وشعرك أنا love you more than my life أنا أحبك يا حبيبي أكو بندا من سنة وجهة عاشقية
I hope you all enjoyed that. So now I'm delighted to welcome Celia H. Mishdel, a civil engineer and content creator from Algeria. She will take us on a historical ride to learn about the Berbers in North Africa. Thank you, Celia, for joining us today, and over to you.
Thank you, Maryam. So, Assalamu alaikum, everyone. This is Mishdel Celia, like Maryam said, from North Africa, Algeria. First of all, Eid Mubarak for all Muslims all around the world. And second, I would like to thank the MACFEST team for this event. Inshallah, I will try to keep it short for you so you can understand well the history in general about North Africa, about the Berbers or the Amazigh people. So, bi'idhnillah, I will start with we're gonna talk about the geographical location and concerned countries, the Amazigh flag as well. Second, who are the Berber? Who are the Amazigh? So we're gonna get to know more about them. We're gonna talk in general about the Amazigh people, the Amazigh villages, the language spoken, and the traditional clothing. Then finally, we're gonna talk about the history of Berber, the history of Amazigh people. For the geographical location, North Africa is a relatively thin strip of land between the Sahara Desert and the Mediterranean Sea, stretching from Moroccan Atlantic coast. We can add also the Canary Islands to Egypt, to Siwa Oasis. Currently, the region comprises 5 different countries. So we have from west to east, we have Morocco, Algeria, Tunisia, Libya, Egypt, and to a lesser extent of Mauritania, northern Mali, and northern Niger. Smaller Berber populations are also found in Burkina Faso, and Egypt Siwa oasis, like I said. For the Amazigh flag, it contains four different colors. Well, we all know Algeria has its own flag, Morocco has its own flag, Tunisia, Libya as well, or the countries of North Africa. But this flag reunites all countries about the Amazigh people. And this is what we're gonna see progressively in this presentation, inshallah. Now let's know more about these colors. The blue symbolizes the Mediterranean Sea and the Pacific Sea also. And for the green one is all for the green lands in North Africa. As for the yellow color, it's for the desert. And you see this shape with red? It is the Z from Tifina, the Amazigh alphabet, if I may say, which means the free man. And who are these Amazigh people? Who are the Berber people? Berber or Imazighen are an authentic group indigenous to North Africa, and they've been living there for hundreds of years, around 260,000 before Christ. Since the Stone Age, actually, which make them the most ancient population in the world. Thamsra, this land, North Africa, is called Thamsra, and Imazighen are mainly a group of villages distributed all around North Africa. Let's know more about these villages. I'm going to talk in general, the most famous one. I will start by La Kabylie, which I came from. So it has many areas, many states. The Shawi area, also in southeast of Algeria. We have Beni Mzab, Tuareg in southern area, Sousiyin in Atlas, Morocco. We have Rif as well in Morocco. Shinwa, it's in extreme north of Algeria, and etc. As for the language spoken, actually Imazighen speak Tamazight and the Berber language. And by the way, Berber means a non-Greek person. So Greek back then and Romans, every person who is not Greek, they call them Berber. So this is why they call North Africans and all their neighbors Berbers. And actually, I personally don't like to call Imazighen Berbers because, like I said, even Romans called their neighbors German, the German people, they called them Berber. So, but when we talk about North Africans, we are not just non-Greek or non-people, we are the Amazigh people. It is really ancient, the Amazigh language. All of these is just wonderful. The alphabet is called Tifinagh. It is one of the most ancient languages and writings in the world, and it still exists. So this is wonderful. North Africans worked so hard to maintain this ancestral piece of art. It is taught in different areas and regions since the primary school as any other lesson till university, actually, to college. And we mentioned also that Tamazight is an official language in Algeria and Morocco, besides French and Arabic. I'm not really sure about Tunisia and Libya. As for the traditional clothing, I present you the Kabyle dress. So this is just amazing. They wear dresses with different colors. These beautiful jewelries made with pure silver and coral. This is a picture between like the past and now with modern designs. The shawi, المحلفة الشاوية, also with jewelries, and Tuareg in southern of North Africa, then Beni Mzab, Arif, Al-Atlas from Morocco, Sousse. This one is from Tunisia, the Amazigh of Tunisia, the Amazigh of Libya, and we have the Amazigh of Siwa in Western Egypt. And now let's go to the history of North Africa. Let's start with the prehistory. Actually, the Maghreb region in northwestern Africa is believed to have been inhabited by Berbers from at least 10,000 years before Christ. Cave paintings, which have been dated to 12 millennia before present, have been found in the Tassili Niger region of southern Algeria. Other rock art has been discovered at Tadref, Akakush in the Libyan desert. Even in Morocco, there are so many of them. It is actually a touristic place, a great place to visit. A Neolithic society marked by domestication and subsistence agriculture and richly depicted in the Tassili Niger paintings, developed and predominated in the Saharan and Mediterranean region, the Maghreb of Northern Africa between 6,000 and 2,000 before Christ, until the classical period. And beside the cave paintings and archaeological research found human fossils in North Africa, and their age is around thousands of years old. As for the descendants, so when we see that it is like a really ancient population, we must ask questions like, oh, this is really old, and from where they came from. Actually, according to the Al-Fihrist, the Berber comprised one of the 7 principal races in Africa. And the medieval Tunisian historian Ibn Khaldun, in 1332 to 1406, recounting the oral traditions prevalent in this day, sets down 2 popular opinions as to origin of the Amazigh. According to one opinion, they are descended from Canaan, son of Ham, and have for ancestors Berber, son of Temla, son of Mezigh, son of Canaan, son of Ham, son of Noah, alayhi salam. And alternatively, Abu Bakr Muhammad al-Sufi held that they are descended from Berber, the son of Qalujma, the son of Mizraim, the son of Ham. They belong to a wonderful, formidable, brave, and numerous people. A true people like so many the world has seen, like the Arabs, the Persians, the Greeks, the Romans. The men who belong to this family of people have inhabited the Maghreb since the beginning. Well, for Temza, the land, the great tribes of Berbers in classical antiquity, when they were often known as ancient Libyans, because before they didn't call it only Temza, but they used to call it Libya, the Libya that we know today. It kept its name because before it was all one land, before it got divided to different countries. And they were said to be 3, roughly from west to east: the Mori, the Numidians near Carthage, and the Gaetulians. The Mori inhabited the far west, ancient Mauritania, now Morocco, and central Algeria, the Numidians occupied the region between the Mori and the city-states of Carthage. Both the Mori and the Numidians had significant sedentary populations living in villages, and their people both tilled the land and tended herds. The Getulians lived to the near south, on the northern margins of the Sahara. They had some kingdoms, it's true, but it didn't last that much. Let's jump to the invasions. Through most of the Stone Age, the climate in the region was very different from nowadays, the Sahara being far more moist and savanna-like, home to herds of large mammals. This area could support a large hunter-gatherers populations, and the Assyrian culture that developed was one of the most advanced Paleolithic societies. Right after the development of sea travel firmly brought the region into the Mediterranean world, especially during the classical period. In the first millennium AD, the Sahara became an equally important area for trade, as camel caravans brought goods and people from the south. The region also has a small but crucial land link to the Middle East, and that has also played a key role in history of North Africa. So they had to pass through Africa to go to the Middle East. From Europe to the Middle East, from Asia to Europe, from Europe to South Africa. They all had to pass by North Africa, and that's when a lot of trading were practiced. So, however, the Phoenicians eventually established strategic colonial cities in many Berber areas, in many Amazigh areas. The same happened with Romans, Byzantines, Vandals, etc. So they had to fight. The Amazigh had to fight for their land because everyone wanted to keep it because it was so rich in every area. This is why some of kingdoms have been established, actually, such as Numidia, such as Carthage. So these small villages had to be collided so they can make a kingdom, so they can fight against those invaders. Let's see some statues like this one. This is an Egyptian statuette representing a Libyan Libu Amazigh from the reign of Ramses II, 19th dynasty, in 1279 till 1213 before Christ. And this statuette actually now is in Louvre, le Musée de Louvre in Paris, in Louvre Museum. The second one is a faience tile from the throne of Pharaoh Ramses III, depicting a tattooed ancient Libyan chief in 1184 to 1153 before Christ. And this third one is Hercules. I think that we kind of all know and we all heard about Hercules. So he was fighting a Libyan giant back then. Until the Arabic conquests. So apparently they came in peace, not like the others, and it began in 642, I guess, before the 11th century. Most of Northwest Africa had become a Berber-speaking Muslim area, unlike the conquest of previous religions, the Jewish religion, all many other religions and cultures also. So the coming of Islam, which was spread by Arabs, was to have extensive and long-lasting effects on the Maghreb. The new faith in its various forms would penetrate nearly all segments of Berber society, bringing with it armies, learned men, and fervent mystics, and in large part replacing tribal practices and loyalties with new social norms and political idioms. A further Arabization of the region was in large part due to the arrival of the Banu Hilal, a tribe sent by the Fatimids of Egypt to punish the Berber Zirid dynasty for having abandoned Shiism. The Banu Hilal reduced the Zirids to a few coastal towns and took over much of the plains, and resulting in the spread of nomadism to areas where agriculture had previously been dominant. So, nonetheless, the Islamization and Arabization of the region was a complicated and lengthy process, whereas nomadic Berbers were quick to convert to Islam and assist the Arab conquerors. So, for example, Tariq ibn Ziyad was a Berber, was a Amazigh. He was not Arabic. Tariq ibn Ziyad, we have Ibn Battuta, Abbas ibn Farnas. So they embraced Islam, and they fought for Islam, and they helped for the Islamic conquests in Europe, especially in Spain, Al-Andalus. Let's continue. So, as I said, the Amazigh were quick to convert to Islam and the Arab conquerors. It was not until the 12th century, under the Al-Muhannad Caliphate, that the Christian, Jewish, and animist communities of the Maghreb became marginalized. Jews persisted within northern Africa as dhimmis, protected people under Islamic law. They continued to occupy permanent economic and political roles within the Maghreb. Indeed, some scholars believe that Jewish merchants may have crossed the Sahara, although others dispute this claim. And indigenous Christian communities within the Maghreb all but disappeared under Islamic rule. Other Christian communities from Europe may still be found in the Maghreb to this day. The indigenous Christian population in some Nasawa villages persisted until the 14th century. And in around 1500, the Ottoman or Uthmaniyin, so Turkey, right now, wanted to extend their empire, and it's when they came to North Africa. So they entered as for many reasons, not exactly as a war like the others, like Romans and Vandals and Byzantines, but after all, they came until actually when North Africa, when they thought that they finished with all the wars and people trying to take their land and everything, in 1830, the French tried to invade North Africa also. It was a war that lasted for more than 100 years. So from 1830 till around 1960s. Yes. And finally, after making peace, after the Second World War, North Africa became the North Africa that we all know right now. Alhamdulillah, eventually. There is no war. And as for people thinking that North Africa are Arabic because they speak Arabic, well, no, they are not. They are Amazigh people, and they embraced Islam, and of course they speak Arabic because Arabic is the language of Quran. And yes, thank you so much for having me, MACFEST, and I would like to thank all the participants. I hope that you enjoyed.
Thank you very much, Celia, for sharing this insightful presentation about the history of the Amazigh people. We really did enjoy it. So next up is a splendid entertainment from Sokhna Jobaten, who's a famous Gambian singer and multi-instrumentalist. So, okay, Celia, please can you stop sharing your screen?
Yes, sure.
Thank you. I hope you all enjoy that. So now I'm absolutely delighted to showcase our final act, which will be presented by myself, about Nigerian festivals. So if I just start sharing my screen. Here we go. Okay. So we can make a start. So Nigeria is a country located on the western coast of Africa. It has 36 states with over 300 tribes and ethnic groups with their respective languages, cultures, and traditions. Each of these tribes have their various festivals celebrated at different times of the year and for various reasons. Most of these cultural festivals are celebrated in honor of gods and deities of the respective tribes that celebrate them. Others are celebrated to fulfill certain cultural and religious rites. I'll be speaking about 8 of the most popular festivals in Nigeria. First is the Osun Osogbo Festival. It is celebrated in the month of August in Osun State by the Yoruba tribe in southwestern Nigeria. The Osun Osogbo Festival is a 2-week-long event showcasing the rich cultural heritage of the Osun people. It is celebrated at the sacred Osun Grove to honor the Osun River goddess with a sacrifice carried by a royal virgin girl. I will now share a video to show what happens during the festival.
Àgò àlejò ṣé ká mọ̀ bọ̀ ìyá ń bọ̀ o. Àgò lọ́nà oore yèyé máa ń bọ̀.
Osun Osogbo Festival is a traditional celebration that is believed to be 600 years old, practiced in Nigeria's southwestern state of Osun. The 2-week festival is considered to be the biggest annual traditional religious event of the Yoruba people. It attracts thousands of worshippers and spectators, not just from Nigeria, but from all over the world.
Ìránṣẹ́ Olódùmarè lọ́sùn láti gbà wáṣẹ̀ nínú gbogbo àwọn arúmọlẹ̀ tí Olódùmarè rán wáyé Ọ̀ṣun Òṣogbo nìkan lóbìnrin tí ń bẹ láàrin wọn tí ó sì sẹ́nìkan tó lè yẹ nídìí kúrò ń bẹ̀.
Ọ̀ṣun jẹ́ òòṣà tí gbogbo ayé mọ̀ tó jẹ́ gbajúgbajà nínú àwọn arúmọlẹ̀ tí wọ́n wà ní àgbáyé.
The Osun Osogbo Festival was also created to re-establish the mystic bonds between the goddess and the people of the town.
Ní 1981-82 mo bẹ̀rẹ̀ sí ru igbá Òṣogbo. Ó yìí ti wà ní àdéhùn wípé tó bá ti mú ọba nídìílé ọba tó bá wà lórí àpèrè àwọn ọmọbìnrin ibẹ̀ òní wọ́n máa bá wọn ru igbá Ọ̀ṣun.
Historically, an ancestral occurrence led to the celebration of this festival. Once upon a time, a group of migrating people who were led by a great hunter called Olutimehin settled on the bank of Osun River to save themselves from famine. At the riverside, Osun the goddess appeared from the water in front of Olutimehin and requested him to lead the people to a special place which is present-day Osogbo town.
This is the Osun River. This is where the real action takes place. People come here for prayer.
The goddess promised to protect all the group and bring them prosperity in return for an annual sacrifice to her.
Níbi tí Ọ̀ṣun wà ń bẹ́ẹ̀ dòní kò sí kúrò láàyè rẹ̀ o. Kò ń ṣe òòṣà tẹ́nìkan kan lè gbé lọ. Kò ń ṣe igi kì í sọ̀pẹ̀ kì í sòkúta. Kò dẹ̀ ń ṣe tẹ́nìkan máa ń fojú rí àfẹn tó bá fẹ́ farahàn. Ọ̀ṣun Òṣogbo ń bẹ láàyè rẹ̀ kò sí ìdíkò ń bẹ o.
Today, the annual sacrifice to the Osun River goddess is what is still celebrated as the Osun Osogbo Festival.
À á ṣètò bí igbá ó ṣe jáde láti mójútó igbá, láti mú arúgbá lọ sódò àti gbogbo àwọn ètùtù tó bá yẹ àti láti mú arúgbá padà wá sílé láyọ̀ àtàlàáfíà.
7 days to our festival. This water is more potent.
Osun Osogbo Festival is accompanied by unique drumming.
Drumming is so essential and important in anything we do in Yoruba land.
Dancing, elaborate costumes, recitation of praise poetry, and so on. Apart from the deep spiritual aspect attached to the festival by adherents of the Osun deity, it is also robustly rich in culture. The Osun Osogbo Sacred Grove, also known simply as the Osun Sacred Grove, where the climax of the festival is celebrated, is a dense forest covering an area of 75 hectares on the outskirts of the city of Osogbo in Osun State along the Osun River. The grove is believed to be the home of Osun, the Yoruba goddess of fertility.
This is Osun Olomoyoyo, telling us that she's a giver of many children.
It is dotted with sanctuaries and shrines, sculptures and artworks in her honor. The sacred grove was inscribed as a UNESCO World Heritage Site in 2005. One of the major attractions of the festival is the Arugba. The Arugba, also known as the Calabash Carrier, is a calabash containing the sacrifice materials that would be used to appease and worship the goddess. It is carried across the town by a votary virgin on her head. As she leads the procession to the river, the people, seeing her as a representative of the goddess, cast their problems on her and say prayers. This calabash is believed to have been handed down to the ancestors of Osogbo by Osun goddess, who instructed that a royal virgin lady must carry it to the grove on the day of the festival.
This is where the Arugba will bring the calabash into. Entering this place with the calabash will be lifted on her head. She will slip off.
The king, known as the Ataoja, is the custodian and also credited as the representative of the Osun ancestors, and he has the final say in all traditional matters.
The content will be taken to the river by Aworo Osun. They will pour it. Some people will wait till when that thing is poured into that river before they start fishing.
On the grand finale of Osun Osogbo Festival, the Arugba leads the procession of Ataoja to Osun Grove. There, His Royal Majesty blesses the people and prays for peace and the community's prosperous stability during the succeeding year.
And the festival ends when she wakes up and meets us in the palace. That's when she will come and give us message.
The Osun Osogbo Festival is a strong unifying factor in Osogbo land. Irrespective of the different social, economic, religious and political convictions of the people, they all come together annually to celebrate the goddess. The event over the years has given residents and tourists alike the opportunity to recreate socially and culturally as they reenact one of the renowned age-long spiritual and communal feasts. Indeed, the Osun Osogbo Festival has been and is one of the most outstanding and preserved cultural practices of the various festivals in Nigeria and Africa as a whole.
Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi ta'ala wabarakatuh. Daga sauro kamar da ke gani yanzu ga mu a kofar kudu.
Next is the Ayo Festival. So the Ayo Festival is one of the most prominent and elaborate festivals celebrated in Nigeria. The Ayo Festival is also known as the Adamu Orisha Play and is usually celebrated by the people of Isaleko on Lagos Island. The Ayo Festival is especially unique with sights of thousands of men and young boys, all donned in white outfits and wide-brimmed hats, wielding their staff of authority, moving in a carnival-like atmosphere. Originally, the Ayo Festival is held to accompany the soul of a departed king or chief in Lagos State. However, in modern times, it is observed to usher in a new king or on demand by a state governor or an influential indigene for a special occasion. The Ayo costume includes akete, a hat that bears the color and shield of the palace, a bamta, palm branch, and the agbada, which is the flowing white agbada that covers the whole body, including the hands and feet, and the arokwale is an important piece of apparel tied around the legs. Now we have the Egungun Festival, which is celebrated to mark the death of important personalities in the Yoruba Kingdom. The festival is a part of the Yoruba traditional religion and is celebrated by the Egbas and the people of Oyo and other tribes in the southwestern part of Nigeria. Egungun from the festival which the festival is named, refers to all Yoruba masquerades, which is connected to the ancestors as one unified collective force. The festival features various masquerade displays, as well as singing and dancing. The masquerades are believed to be possessed by the spirit of the ancestors and perform various cleaning rites throughout the community. The festival is held between November and April, when there are no rains, with the general belief that the spirit of the ancestors should not suffer in the rain. Moving on to the New Yam Festival, which is a celebration by the people of the southern and eastern part of Nigeria, as well as the Idoma people in the north central. The New Yam Festival is a sort of unification festival, bringing together the various tribes that celebrate it, especially the Igbo people. It is celebrated at the end of the rainy season in August, and the New Yam Festival features certain rituals performed to thank the various deities of the various tribes that celebrate it for a successful farming year and to kick off another farming year. As also featured are masquerade displays, cultural dances, and various delicacies, which would feature the yam produce from the just concluded farming year. So let's see a video about this festival.
Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi ta'ala wabarakatuh. Daga sauro kamar
Hi and welcome. You're tuned into Woke Nation TV. Today, we are going to talk about turn on the notification to receive our weekly post. You may wonder about the origins of the New Yam Festival. Well, we have your answer. Yam in Igbo culture is a very deep-rooted concept. It is venerated as a sign of fertility and is also an integral feature of wedding rites in ancient Igbo culture. Yam is one of the main agricultural crops in food planting season. Now, the planting season is usually between the months of April and August. In Igbo land, the yam represents a human, Ahiajoku, who was sacrificed so that other humans may live. Ahiajoku is the ultimate example of a human hero. She is honored in Igbo mythology since her spirit became the god of yam. A lot is dependent on yam survival throughout the harvest season because it could be influenced by a wide range of religious forces, from ancestors to spirits to gods. As a result, it is important that these powers be treated with respect. It is why yam must always be presented with special prayers and sacrifices during the Yam Festival. Although the style may differ from one community to the next, but the essential components of the festival must remain the same. Some of the common rites in most Igbo communities are: on the eve of the festival, all old yams from the previous year must be eaten or discarded. At the beginning of the festival, the yams are offered to the gods first, before distributing to the villagers. The ritual is performed either by the oldest man in the community or by the king or an eminent title holder. It is accompanied by merriments and so much more. After the prayer of thanksgiving to the gods, the elders will eat the yam first. Only after then will the rest of the community consume the new yam without incurring the wrath of the gods. The new yam is then eaten with manuri, that is red oil. The king or eldest man is given the privilege of acting as the community's intermediary between the gods and the people. It becomes a taboo for any indigene of the community to eat the new yam before the traditional ceremony. There you have it. Hope you learned something about the Ahiajoku and the origin of the New Yam Festival.
So now we have the Carnival Festival. The Calabar Carnival Festival is a fairly new addition to the annual festival calendar in Nigeria, since it first commenced in 2006. Although it is now held annually and it is dubbed Nigeria's largest street party. It is a month-long carnival that lasts from December 1st to 31st every year and has a program of events including dancing, music, and other cultural events, something different every day. It's a lovely celebration of Nigeria's great cultural mosaic. The Calabar Festival was first proposed when the governor of Cross River State, Donald Duke, had a vision of making the state a hub of tourism and hospitality in Nigeria and Africa, with a view towards celebrating aspects of local heritage and culture, and to promoting this culture to the wider world. Since then, it's taken off much more than anticipated and has become Nigeria's biggest street party. Next is the Ofala Festival. It is celebrated to mark the end of the 13th month of the Igbo calendar and the beginning of the new Igbo year, as well as to honor the authority and wisdom of the traditional ruler in the land to rule and guide the people. The Ofala Festival is one of the oldest festivals among the Igbo people. The name Ofala Festival comes from two Igbo words, Ofo, which means authority, and Ala, which means land. The festival features various traditional, cultural, and religious rites, and also features the bestowing of chieftaincy titles on deserving individuals by the traditional ruler. It is usually celebrated at the end of every year. Let me play a short video to give you more information about Ofala Festival.
The people of Onitsha celebrate annually the Ofala Festival, a hugely significant celebration that shapes the culture and tradition of the land. This is in fact the Obi's celebration, the revered monarch and paramount ruler of the Onitsha kingdom.
So the Ofala is also the time the Onitsha man sees his Obi, his Igwe. The Igwe is not seen in the public. He doesn't even speak in the public. But any custom that is static is tending towards oblivion, towards obliteration. So we are dynamic and we've moved. Our Obi is everywhere. He is chief of that, chairman of that, and so on and so forth. Because the world is moving forward, waiting for nobody. That's the Ofala.
The Ofala Festival is a spectacular public outing of the Obi in the arena of his palace before a record crowd of his subjects, most of whom had not seen him in the past year. It is the climax of all Onitsha festivals and the first time the Obi makes a public appearance in his palace after a period of seclusion and spiritual cleansing. The festive season is seen as a period when the people of the community, political, cultural, and family systems celebrate anniversaries and commemorate important events in order to create life-changing stories, hope, and a sense of purpose. It is held every October as a 3-day event which captures the main religious ceremony of the community in an atmosphere free from evil and bad intentions.
He comes out the first time. If you were late in coming, you will have the opportunity of seeing him a second time. And in going around, he is greeting people with his sword. He is saluting and giving thanks to the gods that rule the north, the west, the south, the east. He returns because he goes anti-clockwise, as you could see. The age grade system started about 1852. Until today, we have something like 84 or so age grades that have been established. Some are now totally extinct. If anyone were alive, he would have been about 162 years of age, and nobody has lived up to that point.
The obese generals in their traditional attires arrive independently, each accompanied by drummers. They proceed to the obese throne in order of seniority. There they pay homage to the Obi by kneeling on the floor and bowing down before him. The celebration then continues as they dance according to seniority to the tune of the sacred royal drums, Egwota, at intervals of 3 along the palace grounds. The beat also changes in accordance with their respective titles and positions. At the Obi's Palace, tens of thousands of men and women dance to the heart-pulsating beats of traditional drummers and merrymaking. The highlight of the festival is the Obi's entrance in his royal regalia, decorated with the crown, which is announced by the traditional trumpeters and 3 cannon shots fired at intervals. The Ndiches and the Agbalanze lead the procession with the post-coronation song that affirms the people's loyalty to the Obi while the Obi follows. The royal music sets the rhythm for the Obi's dancing during his 3 outings. The 3rd outing marks the grand finale of the great traditional annual outing of the Obi as he dances around the square while praise names are showered on him by his subjects. The celebration associated with these ceremonies is indeed worth seeing. For the Ofala, farmers who have been living in their farmsteads must return home to join thousands of fellow citizens in paying homage to their monarch. A practice which is still much alive today as sons and daughters of Onitsha come home from different parts of the world to pay homage to their king. The festival also shows that respect is shown for the Onitsha history and their way of life. It is indeed a great way to keep the heritage alive.
Now it's time for the Dobar or Hawan Salah, as it is locally called. It's a royal parade of thousands of men on horses adorned with garments and regalia. It is a colorful display of culture, full of pomp and pageantry, and a spectacular traditional concert and bazaar of African music. It is celebrated at the culmination of Muslim festivals like the Eid al-Fitr and Eid al-Adha. It begins with prayers, followed by the parade of the Emir, who is the king, and his entourage on horses, accompanied by music players and ending at the Emir's palace. The Durbar festival dates back hundreds of years to the time when states in the northern part of Nigeria used horses in warfare. During the parade, regiments would showcase their horsemanship, their preparedness for war, and their loyalty to the state. We will now watch a video about the Durbar festival.
Ago àlejò ṣé ká máa bọ̀ ìyá ń bọ̀ o. Ago lọ́ọ́
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh.
Please bear with me a moment. Really, please now.
Daga sauro kamar da ke gani yanzu ga mu a kofar kudu kofar gidan mai martaba sarkin Kano Alhaji Aminu Ado Bayero.
Lastly is the Arugungu Festival. Okay, I think it's okay. So the Arugungu Festival is celebrated in February in the northwestern part of Nigeria in Kebbi State. The Arugungu Fishing Festival is a fun fiesta that features fishermen from across the state coming together in a competition to catch the biggest fishes. The fishing competition is done using only traditional nets. The fun nature of the festival and the various religious rites is carried out by the Kebbi people what add color to this wonderful event. So let's watch a video about this.
The city of Argungu lies on the Sokoto River in Kebbi State, northwestern Nigeria. Also known as Kabi Emirate, the Argungu Emirate is the successor to the ancient Kabi kingdom founded by Muhammadu Kotul Kanta in the year 1515. The Argungu Emirate is governed by the Emir, who is the head and supreme authority in the land.
Muhammad Kanta shine sarki na farko a daular Kabi. Sarki ne jarumi wanda ya yi shekara kusan 40 da wani abu ko 60 da wani abu yana sarauta. Shine asalin wannan gida, shine kaka uba ga dukkan wani wanda ya sarauta tun daga farko har zuwa wannan lokacin da muke ciki.
The city of Argungu has a population of about 100,000 people who are predominantly fishermen, farmers, and cattle rearers. It is the seat of the Argungu Emirate and the home of the most popular festival in northern Nigeria, the Argungu International Fishing and Cultural Festival.
Bikin kamun kifi na Argungu tarifin shi yana tafiya daidai da tarifin masarautar Kabi. Al'ada ce tsohuwa ta mutanen Kabi, kuma yadda na faɗa sunan Kabi ɗin ma'ana shi shine wuri mai yawan ruwa da kuldufai da tahuka.
The annual 4-day event was initiated in 1934. Over the years, the Argungu International Fishing and Cultural Festival has evolved, growing bigger as it absorbed various activities, which has transformed it to more than just a fishing festival. At the 2020 edition, about 34 activities were crammed into the 4-day festival. Traditionally, the Durbar is an annual festival celebrated to mark the end of the Ramadan, Eid al-Fitr. It is a spectacular parade of gallant men garbed in colourful robes, indigo turbans and ostrich feathers, brandishing glistening swords and riding on lavishly ornamented horses. On the final day of the festival, all roads lead to the Matan Fada River. The contestants, as much as 30,000 fishermen, rush into the river with their nets and gourds, seeking to get the biggest catch of the day.
Are you ready for this thing? Yes. Are you ready? Yes. If you are ready, say yeah,
Dibin wuri ce, nauyinta zai kai nauyin kilo 78. To, da dai na ji ta shiga homata ta kama da kyau, kawai sai na daga, sai na ce wanda a kusa ganin da Allah ya taimaka ya kama mini. Sai Allah ko ya kaddari bai ɗaya abin gaba kawai sai ya kama ya tallaba aka fitar da ita waje. To, farin cikin da na ji aijin dai kamar ina cikin aljanna ne. To gaskiya dai na bar mu Allah dubara kawai dai abu dai daga inda Allah ne haka yake abun daga Allah ne kawai.
So that is all from me today. I would like to thank our speakers for their wonderful presentations and also to our audience for joining us today. I will now hand back to Hanan to thank everyone.
So what can I say? Thank you so much. Thank you for your contributions and for giving us such a feast, including a history of Berber population and also the famous mosques in Africa, from Egypt, Morocco to Senegal, and finally in amazing Nigerian festivals with such diversity. So big thanks to Cecilia and Sarah and you, Maryam, as well. You did a great job. And what can I say? And thank you to our attendees, supporters, and MACFEST team also, and our partnership. Please join us to the next event on Sunday, 17, Women Artists from Sudan by Salma Ibrahim Elamin at 2 p.m. I hope you enjoyed a lot and learned a lot. Thank you so much for joining us today.